How are you feeling getting back into the fall semester?
Well, we're clearly really excited about it. It's something we've been planning for since this started in March. So it was, it's a very different fall semester from what you'd remember from previous years. But it was great feeling to welcome back 3,100 resident students in the last week. So we're excited about fall and confident, and hopefully that as long as everyone follows the guidelines and does what they need to do and modifies their behavior, we're cautiously optimistic.
What are some of those big changes?
Sure. I think if you really look at it, it's modifying behavior. It's really having safety as something that we have in our culture. It's the face coverings that are required at all times, except if you're in your resident hall or in a private office with the door closed. It's the physical distancing. It's limiting the number of people that can attend an event to 10. So that's really, it's pretty limited, but we feel it's important. I think that having such few classes in person, we have about 20% of our courses that are in person. So really about reducing the density of population and really communicating and educating constantly, not just to our students, the entire university community, what they need to do to protect themselves and others.
You kind of looking at other schools that have started earlier that you've maybe taken in so far and have been able to learn from so far?
Well, certainly, and something that we always had concerns of and still do. We can communicate, we can have requirements on our campus of what individuals have to do. It's the behavior that happens off campus that's the most concerning. That is where, as you mentioned, we have presented our plan to chambers of commerce, city councils, et cetera. It's really a partnership with the communities to make sure that our students, our community members, when they're off of our campuses, are being held to the standards of the mask mandates and some of the other requirements so that they remain healthy off campus and don't bring anything back to campus as well.
Is there any sort of partnership or anything you guys can do to maintain the student code and maintain those guidelines off campus? Or is it you hope students follow the rules?
Well, I think, as I said, I think communicating our plan and the partnership to the cities and to the other community partners. I think having a really good relationship with the police departments in the communities that we serve. I know in Boca Raton we have a great relationship, our police department, with City of Boca Police Department, and I say that because if there's a party off campus that requires police in the community to go and break up, et cetera, they will communicate that back to our police, and we'll work with our dean of students to intervene. Again, it's trying not to be punitive, but just trying to really make our students aware that we're here to protect them and to hope that they can continue their academic careers without interruption.
And obviously events have to be hold to 10 people. So I guess that goes, does that stand for stuff off campus? So can those be applied off campus, I guess? Is there a way where do those mandates fall into the students and the Greek life and all that type of situations?
Any university or student-sponsored events that occur, whether they're on or off campus, must follow the guidelines. So if an event occurs off campus and it is somewhat of an approved event or a sponsored event or a student club that is using club dollars to do that event, they are held to those same standards, and they're held if they violate those standards as well. Obviously, if we hear that a party has occurred off campus, we will. Our first and foremost interest is making sure everyone is healthy. So, can we interview those students? Can we make sure that they're all healthy? Do contact tracing if necessary, testing if necessary. And then again, going back and really, emphasizing the need to follow these rules. I mean, we're not trying to be punitive. We're not trying to be, so inflexible, but it's about keeping people healthy right now.
I think you mentioned just over 3,100 students back.
Yes.
So, and it was a max capacity of around 4,000, it sounded like, or that was about for the 96 capacity. And I know you have around 115 beds for isolation. But
we actually have a little bit more, at 96% capacity, which was the maximum that we wanted to go on campus. That allowed us to have 112 sick beds in Boca Raton and a number in Jupiter. With our capacity about 80% now, that allows us to have more of those beds. So we're confident that we have enough spaces to manage, provided everyone follows or at least closely follows what they need to. So it is something that we monitor every single day, to make sure that if we're seeing seeing some hot spots or red flags of parties or anything that's brought to our attention that we can intervene quickly and hopefully mitigate the spread. And I guess, it's something as simple as when our students moved in, typically they'd receive a bag of swag. This time they moved in and they received a branded face mask. They received branded hand sanitizer, pamphlets that educate them. We're really trying to push out that messaging. We're communicating to our students, reminding them of the policies. It's really complicated because students are for some of them are coming away from their homes for the first time. It's an opportunity that first week to meet people and hopefully make friends. And now they're doing that behind a face covering. They're doing that in a very limited number of people. So it's a challenge, but we're trying to have as many virtual events as we can so that our students can meet and socialize in a different way. And in some ways, they're very comfortable in that environment. So again, just trying to think of anything we can do to allow the socialization to still continue, but not putting anybody at risk.
It sounds like at this point there will be no students allowed into the games or any sort of that aspect yet either.
That's not been decided yet. So it's something we're working through.
I know FAU is switching 100% online after Thanksgiving.
Sure. Our plan is very adaptable, and that's both ways, whether we have to, pose more limitations or we can relax some of our guidelines. All of our courses that are in person are also being taught remotely. So if a student right now has an in-person course and they don't feel comfortable or they're in a vulnerable population, they can take that course remote. So we can very easily flip the switch, if you will, to fully remote with little to no trouble. After Thanksgiving, again, all of our courses will go remote, and that's pretty consistent throughout the system and I think throughout the country. In terms of relaxing, what we're really looking at first of what is the best thing to relax are some of those social interactions. So whether that's adding to the numbers of people we'll permit at a student event, I think that's where we're focused first on when it's safe to relax some of those guidelines.
Were there any changes to how, I know the dining hall there, right by the student union, was there any big changes to the dining hall area, how that was kind of addressed and how students go and maybe not go all at the same time, or how you keep the people serving the food safe?
Yeah, it's very complicated. In terms of the staff, they all receive screenings and temperature checks before each shift. In terms of our students, we used to have continuous dining. We close now in between meal periods for deep cleaning and disinfecting. All students are temperature checked before they enter the resident dining hall and made sure that they have a face covering. Everything is disposable. We have a section where they can eat, and that's divided with plexiglass dividers, and that's where obviously you can have your face covering off, but they know that throughout the rest of the facility they must have it on. We've created an app so students can pre-order their meals and pick it up at different locations, again, to reduce the population in the dining hall. So significant changes to dining. It's an area that is concerning because we are servicing that, over 3,000 students, multiple meals a day. So very different than the experience they had. In terms of contact tracing, we have a system called Sarah Alert, and it's a system that's used by healthcare workers. It's really where we divide our campus up into what we would call, if you will, jurisdictions, so that not only are we doing contact tracing, but we can then see where there's hotspots developing on campus, whether that's a particular resident hall, a particular academic department, an operational department. So that allows us then to again intervene quicker than waiting for something to become, a real outbreak on campus. So that's something we're doing. We're also doing screening and attestation. So every student and every employee had to complete first a training before they could come to campus. And we've had about 28,000 people complete that training. In terms of the screening, it's done twice a week. So you have to enter any symptoms you may have or a test that you don't. And then it allows you to either come to work or school or informs you to stay home and contact a healthcare worker. And that's done twice weekly. And if someone doesn't do that, then they are locked out of university IT systems until they complete that.
So is there anything that you would like to add that you guys are doing or we didn't touch or talk about?
No, I think that we have a well-developed plan. It's obviously dependent on everyone modifying their behavior. I'm confident in our students. I really am. And I know that they want to have a successful fall semester. And we're ready to manage those students who either are ill or come in contact. And hopefully we can all make it through Thanksgiving and have a successful fall semester and get ready for spring. So that's what we're hoping for. So I appreciate it.